Open world games, the digital equivalents of boundless frontiers, hold a unique appeal for gamers who crave exploration, adventure, and freedom. However, sometimes these seemingly infinite landscapes can feel more like a confined, curated experience rather than a vast open canvas for players to paint their own stories upon. Today, let's dive into the multifaceted complexities of open world games and discuss why they may not always deliver on their grand promise of feeling like a true, authentic open world experience. Firstly, invisible walls and barriers in open world games are the bane of immersion, shattering the illusion of freedom by abruptly halting players' exploration. Imagine this: you sprint across an open field, intoxicated by the feeling of boundless freedom, only to smack face first into an invisible fence. Well, this is the experience that many open world gamers have when they encounter the edges of a game's map. The vast deserts of Assassin's Creed Origins, for example, beckon the players to explore their sandy expanses, only for them to be unceremoniously halted by an impassable sandstorm at the edge of the world. For a medium that promises exploration and discovery, these barriers can be frustrating and immersion breaking. Limited interactivity in open world environments is another factor that can hinder the feeling of true freedom. It brings to mind an old adage: you can look, but you can't touch. While many games feature beautifully rendered landscapes and intricate cityscapes, they may not offer players the ability to meaningfully engage with their surroundings. Players can often find themselves surrounded by stunning vistas and seemingly interactive objects, only to be met with the cold, unyielding reality of non-interactivity. Just Cause 3 serves as an apt example, where players can traverse a massive world filled with stunning vistas, but the majority of buildings and objects serve as little more than window dressing. This lack of interactivity can leave players feeling detached from the world they're supposed to be inhabiting. Repetitiveness is another issue that can sap the life out of an open world game. Side quests and activities intended to serve as flavorful seasoning to the main narrative can sometimes become the gaming equivalent of eating the same meal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The Far Cry series is notorious for its reliance on repetitive tasks like liberating outposts and climbing towers. After a while, players may begin to feel a little like Sisyphus, the tragic figure from Greek mythology who was doomed to roll a boulder up a hill for all eternity, only for it to tumble back down and down again. This repetitiveness can cause players to disengage from the game world as they grow weary of the monotonous cycle of completing similar tasks and quests. The false agency the game gives us over our choices and how they will ultimately affect the outcome of the game is deceptively irrelevant. We can't help but be reminded of the famous paradox presented by the inventor of the automobile, Henry Ford, saying any customer can have a car painted any color he wants so long as it's black. Well, open world games often embody the same paradox, offering players an abundance of choices within the constraints of their carefully designed outcomes. For example, games like Mass Effect and Dragon Age boast about offering players branching storylines and moral dilemmas, but at the end of the day, the ultimate outcome remains tethered to the developer's intentions. It's akin to choosing your favorite flavor of ice cream, only to discover they all taste like vanilla. Well, this sense of false agency can cause players to feel disillusioned as they realize that their decisions have actual limited impact on the game world and narrative. The narrative structure of open world games can also serve as a tether, anchoring players to a predetermined path even when they yearn for the freedom to forge their own. The urgency of a main quest can weigh heavily on players, making them feel even guilty for indulging in side activities or exploration. The Ghost of Tsushima illustrates this tension perfectly, in my opinion. The protagonist's duty to save his homeland from invading forces looms large over the player, creating a sense of obligation to focus on the primary objective rather than basking in the beautiful, meticulously crafted world that surrounds them. This tension between the narrative and exploration can make the game feel more linear than its open world trapping suggests, restricting the player's sense of agency and spontaneity. Moreover, open world games often struggle to maintain a balance between the narrative coherence and player freedom. Players may encounter incongruities or inconsistencies in the game world as a result of their actions, which can detract from the overall experience. For instance, in Skyrim, players might clear out a bandit camp and find out that the same bandits have inexplicably respawned where they returned later. This lack of persistence and consequence can create a sense of disconnect between the player's actions and the game world, eroding the feeling of immersion. From a psychological standpoint, closure is an essential aspect of human satisfaction. Open world games, with their endless supply of content, can leave players feeling a little overwhelmed and unfulfilled. Much like trying to read every single book in the library or watch every single movie on Netflix, it's simply a little overwhelming. The sheer volume of content can make it challenging for players to achieve a sense of completion, consequently leading to an unsettling lack of closure. The Division 2, with its sprawling map filled with collectibles, side missions, and hidden secrets, is a perfect example of this phenomenon. Furthermore, players may also experience FOMO, or fear of missing out, as they grapple with an unattainable goal of completing every single task and finding every single treasure, which can ultimately detract from the enjoyment of the game. Lastly, let's talk about fast travel systems. While undeniably convenient, can also be a double-edged sword in open world games. On the one hand, they save time and reduce tedium by allowing players to instantly hop from one location to another. On the other hand, they can also rob players of the joy of exploration and discovery that is integral to the open world experience. Breath of the Wild, with its vast and varied world, is a prime example of how fast travel can be both a blessing and a curse. By enabling players to teleport from one location to another, they may inadvertently miss out on the hidden treasures and unexpected encounters that make exploration so rewarding. It's akin to teleporting to the top of Mount Everest instead of embarking on the arduous but ultimately gratifying climb. So what does this all mean? Well, open world games tantalize players with the promise of infinite possibilities and freedom, but various factors can conspire to dampen the sense of wonder and exploration they aim to deliver. I personally believe that by addressing these issues, game developers have the potential to create truly immersive, engaging open world experiences that do live up to the promise of unbridled freedom and discovery, offering players a vibrant, dynamic canvas upon which to craft their own story. Thank you for watching.